You're listening to SuckProfessor's exclusive Patreon-only podcast. Hello, everybody. I'm Hank. I'm joined by James. We got sleepy James.
No, I just woke up. I'm good.
He's a little bit tired.
I'm happy.
Are you tuckered out?
No, I was last night, but I'm good now.
Oh, you were tuckered out before you fell asleep.
Yes.
Wow, the system works. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome, James. Hello, one and all, to our Patreon members. Are they members? Do you think they're members? I don't know what to call them. Patreons.
They are saviors. They
Saviors.
are awesome people.
Angels.
Yeah.
Handsome, sexy. James, would you rather be described as sensual or sexual? Tell me your answer.
Yeah, I think both would be very uncomfortable for me.
Correct.
Yes. I just wouldn't know how to approach either.
How funny would it have been if you were just like, sensual. I'm definitely sensual.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear somebody who has confidence about that adjective. All right, welcome to our show, guys. We're going to talk about Westworld. We're going to talk a little bit about James saw Deadpool, too.
I did Deadpool, too. Yeah.
I really want to hear your thoughts on that. I've been watching Evil Genius on Netflix, a little documentary thing. Tell you about that one. Kind of intense, but we got not much to do. First, we're going to do shout-outs. We want to mention our patrons, people who sign up. So we got a couple new sign-ups. First, Justin Hamilton signed up at the sidekick level. Thanks for signing up, Justin. Hope you're listening to the podcast. He actually signed up while we were recording the last podcast.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because as soon as we were done, I saw it, and I was like, holy shit, I could have said his name this week, but we waited till next week, which is right now. And another one from Dorm, who I think the email said a different name on there, but according to Patreon. So thanks, Dorm. You're the best. We love you. We love you so much. James, tell him you love him. Tell him how much
Is this Norm McDonald?
Dorm. Yeah, it's college student Norm McDonald. Dorm signed up at the level that gets early access to behind-the-scenes production videos and other whatever else I come up with eventually.
I don't know anything about levels and things like that. This is all
I know.
cool.
People will write you direct messages on here, and
Crap.
You don't see them. I meant to forward them to you.
Oh, shoot.
So, yeah. Well, there's a whole world of people begging for your attention like little baby birds hoping their mama, could you imagine a baby bird with its mama ignoring it? That's what these people feel.
I've had many baby birds.
You have had a lot of baby birds.
Hundreds.
Why don't we just do a whole YouTube channel where you tell stories about your wacky animal? You're like Jack Hanna if he lived in Virginia and was a kid and had animals. Did you wear like a lot of beige hats and beige vests and beige cargo shorts and stuff?
Yep, constantly.
The only thing those guys don't wear beige is their condoms. I was going to say shoes, but then I realized they probably have beige shoes.
Probably, yeah. I don't know quite why that is a thing. Why do they wear that particular...
Yeah, well, where did that like safari outfit kind of come from? I imagine it comes from it matches the grass. It's the same color, and you go out to the big grassy African savanna plains, or maybe the kind of earth tone Australian plains. I don't know.
It's kind of silly though. You think about trying to blend into camouflage that works for humans, but you would think that that's kind of irresponsible to do for animals because they kind of have a little bit better senses. Like, I'm not going to sneak up on a lion; it's going to smell me.
Probably, unless you're upwind.
Yes,
as all hunters know.
Right.
We should do one. Not this time, but a week ago, your comments about hunters upset some of the commenters, which I found their reactions to be interesting and entertaining.
Oh yeah, well I mean,
but I'm not asking you to bring that topic up.
I'm happy to talk about that.
We don't have to. I'm not trying to do that right now.
Yeah.
I'd like to in a different time though, because I did grow up in a hunting family, and I have strong opinions about guns, and not that hunting equates to guns. I actually, whatever, but there's a lot going on with that. But we both have strong feelings.
But I think what I was talking about, just to kind of touch a little bit, is that there's two different types of hunting. There is responsible hunting, and then there's irresponsible hunting. And I have no problem with responsible hunting, but I have a big problem with irresponsible hunting. And for me, irresponsible hunting is people who go out there and use hunting dogs to run down and exhaust their prey, or who use advantages that they don't need to be using in order to take down something that's already of a much lower intellectual capacity than they are.
Right.
And the reason I have an issue with that particular one is like people who sit in trees and use high power scopes is that My family owns a lot of land in Virginia, which is, you know, no big deal because land is cheap out there.
Well,
it is what it is. It's
pretty
it's
cool.
not a brag or anything like that. It's just like,
no.
it's just what they have it because it was left to them and everything like that. And one of my favorite...
P. Diddy brags about it all the time.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite things to do as a kid growing up was to, you know, my family did rehabilitate animals and we would release them into our land area.
And you'd like to put out a deer head on and run around?
Well, that was one of the big problems, was that there was a hunting club that was like adjacent to my property. And I would walk through my woods and everything like that, and every now and then I would hear something, and I'd look up and there'd be some kid or some idiot sitting in the tree right there with a gun on my property who could have shot me walking around my own area.
Yeah.
Or you come back and you see like where someone was and there's all this crap, it looked like human excrement and beer casings, beer bottles,
sure.
and just trashing your land with no respect whatsoever. Or you come across an animal that's like suffering and torn to pieces by hunting dogs who's like gasping and dying in the woods because they let their dogs run after something, didn't give a crap. Or you find a starving dog in the woods who is just completely emaciated, and then you call the number on the collar and they're like, oh, I don't give a crap, just shoot it, couldn't find it.
Wow.
It's like, those are the irresponsible piece of crap hunters that I absolutely hate. If you're respectful and you go out there and you're not doing either of those two things, more power to you. That's totally cool. But those other guys, screw you. If you have a problem with me saying that, F you, I don't care.
Well, I don't. Yeah, it's unlikely we're tapping into the hunting crowd much,
right, but
much here. But
I will not back off on anything I say about those particular types of hunters
I
because
agree.
they are pieces of filth.
You could say shit.
Well, they are that too.
I'll say it for you. They're pieces of wangu.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And honestly, that would be really upsetting in the context of your childhood with your land and people. Because that's a big deal. My exposure to hunting was through my dad and his, mostly in northern Wisconsin, but I also hunted in Illinois a little bit. But, you know, you're not supposed to go on anybody's land unless you have permission, or unless you go up and ask specifically for permission from them. And that's a violation. I mean, that's really shitty, especially littering. And oftentimes, there's kind of an understanding that if you're tracking a deer, it's okay to go on someone's land. I mean, you should still try to get their permission, but like you'd rather the hunters came on and grabbed it and pulled it off, or you know, cleaned it up or whatever. I mean, it's part of the process, sort of. But yeah, I hear you, and I appreciate all your
or if you're trying to rehabilitate a deer, and you spend 6 months bottle feeding the thing, getting it up to its strength, then you go into the middle of your land and you set them off into the woods, and you're getting back in your car and you hear a gun go off. You're like, what the F?
Did that actually happen?
Well, I mean, there are many times where we would let something go, and then we would be driving back home, and then we see like a truck parked on the side of the road with a bunch of people in big orange hats just running off into the woods. It's like, you're not supposed to be there. Get out.
So did you guys have to kick hunters off your land a lot?
No.
Did your dad have to go, hey, get out of here?
He was always, my dad was always kind of, you know, it's like, it is what it is. This is the area. It's like, I don't want to be confrontational or anything like that. But it's like, have some respect. If you're a hunter and you're going out there, essentially, if you are going out there to hunt and you are respecting what you do, and you're respecting the animals that you're killing, because taking an animal's life is not a small thing. That's a major thing. You are taking away something that you do not have the power to restore. There's a reverence to hunting.
Unless you're a sensual hunter.
Right.
Wink.
But there should be a level of respect and reverence to hunting. I'm not going to say that you can't go out there, that I'm a PETA person, that, oh no, animals' lives.
Well, I understand that humans eat meat, you have to understand.
Exactly.
Like,
you understand I cannot be a hypocrite and bite into a cheeseburger and then say, oh, people who kill animals are monsters.
Right.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that human beings, we are where we are today because we are hunters, and it's part of life, it's part of nature. But if you're going out there and you're teaching your son or teaching your daughter or teaching someone to go out there to kill for fun or to kill for sport or to high five and hoot and holler when you blow something's head off, that is not respectful hunting.
Yeah,
that's BS.
You're supposed to cut the heart out, hold it up to the sky as mist raises off of it.
Not exactly like that.
That's the soul of the animal ascending to animal heaven.
But you should at least have some sort of respect for the animal that you just
killed.
Agree.
I 100% agree with you. In fact, my lament about hunting, I wasn't actually trying to bring this up. I mean, I brought it up and then we're talking about it, but I was hoping we could talk about a different episode. But I'll just say this. I would like to hunt my own food. I feel disconnected from I eat a lot of meat. I've switched to a fat, heavy meat diet in the last few months. It's been actually really wonderful for my health. I feel much better in lots of ways. I can talk about that at a different time. Ketogenic, look it up. But I feel it comes out of my liberalism in a way. Like I feel like I'm violating something because I do eat probably mostly factory meat, factory farm meat. I'm sure it is. Of course it is. I eat cheap meat. I wait for it to go on sale when it's at the grocery store. I get pork for $1 a pound and I get really excited. But if I could, I would I would hunt my own animals if possible. It's almost a luxury thing to be able to do, because that would reconcile my liberalism, so to speak, meaning my values, my perspective about what humans' role is on the world. Because I eat meat, and the factory farming is a nightmare, and it's horrible, and it is capitalism and industrial murder on these massive scales. Maybe murder's not the right word, but I don't know. There's a lot to it, but so I get what you're saying.
It brings up another point though. It's like, again, if you're a hunter and you're I do not have a problem with you whatsoever. If you kill a deer, perfectly fine. If you're using it, if you're just not leaving it out there to rot, and you're actually bringing it home, and you're making jerky out of it or something, and you're feeding your family, providing for your family or something like that.
You can make steaks.
And you're not just doing it because you're like, oh, I'm a man. I killed something. I killed something with a brain the size of a small little deformed pear
of a deer brain.
Yeah, with my giant Walmart gun that I bought for $400, and I shot him from a mile away.
Yeah,
I'm a big man. I'm powerful. If you're not one of those guys, totally cool.
Yeah.
But again, about if you see a deer across the field, you personally, if you're as a respectful, responsible hunter,
I get out a fork and knife and I start going shing,
and you see this deer, and it's a female deer, a deer, and it's got a younger deer next to it.
Yeah.
What would you do? Would you pull the trigger?
No.
Right.
Not unless their heads were lined up, because then they'd save a bullet.
That's hilarious. Okay, I like it. But you would not.
No, I wouldn't want to separate a mother from its baby.
Right, and because you understand that in order to keep the deer populations there's certain targets you pick, certain targets you hold back on, right?
Right, yeah.
That's a process that a responsible hunter goes through.
And Godzilla. Yep.
Right. But if you're the kind of hunter that has hunting dogs running out there just kind of tracking a scent and tearing apart anything they come across, is a hunting dog going to make that distinction?
No.
It's going to rip apart whatever it comes across.
Most hunting dogs don't have the sensitivity to identify the sacred bond of an animal and its parent.
Well, it's not just that. It's like...
I know. I'm not suggesting you think that
You don't go after certain targets as a hunting, but when you are the kind of person that just keeps dogs in a kennel in your backyard, starves them all week long, and then lets them run into the woods to try and just go wild or anything.
I've gone bear hunting with dogs. Have you done that? Have you seen it?
No,
we'll talk about it in another episode. It's a big story. It's really wild.
And just nuts. I'm only talking about like deer hunting and stuff like deer. I'm not talking about bear hunting. That's a whole different... If you're going out there with like a bow and arrow and you're going after a bear, then
hold on.
Go for it.
Bow and arrow and a bear, that seems pretty...
Yeah.
I mean, you still have an advantage because you're a human with a bow and arrow.
But still...
However, wait, the story I'll tell, though, you won't like. I promise. You'll hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like hunting at all, but I understand it and I respect it for people who do it a certain way.
I saw bear hunting with about 15 dogs.
That is effed up.
It was really, really nuts. I was with my dad. I was up in northern Wisconsin. I was in my teenage years.
Yeah.
Still in my teenage years in some ways, James, and by then I mean my pubes haven't grown in yet. Why did I say that part? All right, so that's our hunting segment, everybody. We start every episode with hunting talk.
Even after that clarification, if you disagree with me, okay, fine.
It's fine.
But I'm not going to change my opinion on that.
Yeah, no, you can defend your position.
I've lived decades of that crap, and I know what it is.
You grew up with hunters defiling your land. You were like the only good guy in Sauron's keep.
I was even shot at once by some hillbilly in a tree who was on my land who wasn't supposed to be there.
Wow.
Because I came over a ridge and he heard like crunching or something like that and a bush shaking.
Yeah.
And I was probably like 10 or 11 years old with friends of mine. And this idiot up there is like, whoa, if I see something sick, I'm gonna shoot at it because I'll kill anything that moves. Which is another thing, is like, don't shoot at something just because it moves. You don't know what it is.
Right.
It could be a deer, it could be a young deer, it could be the buck that you're looking for, or it could be the person who actually owns the effing land that's just going for a walk.
Yes, I agree. And plus, if you kill a human, you got to get a different license. It takes a lot longer to chop them up and turn them into jerky.
At those particular people, I just hate.
I feel your rage coming off you. It's a powerful thing. I get it.
And that's the other thing is like I don't consider them hunters. The
Okay.
term hunter,
Yeah.
you need to earn the term hunter.
Like Turok, the dinosaur
Yes,
hunter.
if you are someone who's doing the things I described, you're just a mindless woods killer.
Or Tuvok.
You're just you're not going out hunting, you're going out killing.
Yeah.
Because you don't
sure.
care what you kill as long as you kill something and you feel like a man.
Let me get your... Okay, I'm just curious now. What do you think about fish?
Fish?
Do you value fish the same as furry mammals that are on land?
Well, I mean, if you're dropping depth charges into a lake and then just like scooping up the things that bubble up to the surface, then no, you're not a fisherman.
Yeah, I don't...
Because I think
I know
the same way.
I know dudes have tossed bombs in lakes and stuff.
I
and
feel honestly,
killed a
I
bunch
feel
of
like
fish,
if
but-
you are sitting in a tree or using dogs to run down something, that's no different than using depth charges to fish. I feel like fishermen
Well,
are actually really earning what they get.
Well, you haven't heard of attack fish, James.
Unless-
What if I showed up with a huge aquarium, a pickup truck filled with my own, like, hungry attack fish, and I set them loose?
I mean, there's the thing is like the whole phrase "shooting fish in a barrel."
Yeah.
That's sort of like these rich people who go off into these special enclosed
Game
areas,
preserves, right.
yeah, where a deer can't run away or something like that. He's like, "Oh yes, yes, sir, shoot this deer." I feel like
and they
I'm
do
out.
that with exotic animals, and they make a
Yes.
whole justification that it's extremely expensive and that actually funds conservation efforts. In fact, there is some common cause between environmentalism and hunters. Hunters tend to generally come from conservative side of the spectrums. However, they also unlike a lot of the conservative side, they actually do care about the environment a little bit more because they spend so much time in the environment, and they you know, so hunters and environmentalists do happen to have some common cause for land preservation and just economic or environmental policies and stuff like that. So there's some overlap there, which is interesting.
There's a big difference though between killing an animal responsibly, doing a quick, clean, humane kill,
Yeah.
and having an animal spend the last moments of its life in pure abject pain and terror as it's running through the woods injured and being chased down and ripped to pieces by dogs.
Yes, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. But fishing is fun. I like to go fishing.
Fishing,
it's
I'm
very relaxing.
I'm never going to
And,
make the same arguments
there's
on
something-
hunting as I would with fishing.
Also, yeah, it's really easy to suck at fishing. Like,
Yeah.
every fish I've ever caught is just pretty much pure luck.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know a little bit, but I don't know what
I mean, the thing
and
about-
then I cook it and I eat it and it tastes
Yeah,
amazing.
the thing about a fish is that and I've said this before, is it's essentially just an aquatic bag of slime that has no intelligence whatsoever.
That's not fair. I don't
Well,
know.
it is.
Really?
They're just this slimy, scaly bags of. I mean, they're not smart. And when you
I don't know if I agree with that even.
but
Yeah.
in order to catch them, you do have to outsmart them, and it's not like their core intelligence is not what makes them hard to find. It's understanding the environment. It's understanding where they're going to be based on the conditions that are above and below. It's understanding what their natural habitat is, what their it's a lot of
but
things.
it's I mean, the core of it is taking advantage of their hunger instinct.
Right, you're reading the
somehow.
environment and you're tracking them based on the clues that you have above ground. And sure, if you're using a fish finder too, okay, that's fine, you know. But because you are completely out of your element when you're on the water.
I don't use a fish finder.
Yeah, the fish have all the advantages in concealing themselves and things. And yes, you're tricking them with a lure and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's, you know.
Well, it's funny because I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't agree with the bags of slime.
They
First
are
of all,
bags
'cause
of- come
they
on.
have bones. They're slimy on the outside.
yes.
So your analogy there as a bag is sort of like you should say they're a
They
bag
are-
of bones covered in slime.
They are a rigid trash can of slime.
covered
They
in
are
slime though.
organic
the way you
slime,
the words you're
bony
using make it
trash
sound
can.
like it's slime's on the inside and it's not. But
Well, it is if you leave them
But
out.
I worked with I cleaned aquariums for 10
Yeah.
years, and I observed, and mostly ocean fish. Also, of course, I did freshwater, which are rivers, and generally those are more cichlids, which tend to be South American or African, some American, I guess, too. But the fish they do have personality, and they hold on, no,
I do. I agree.
I'm not a big animal rights guy. You can probably tell. I would eat fish like Garfield if I could, or just pull out the skeleton. But there's variability within personality within a specific species. Some species are much more intelligent than others, obviously, and I do think most fish fall into the kind of dumb standard fish package. Like you know, you're just basically eagle food, or you're just ocean or rot, whatever. When you die, you just turn into whatever. But I do value them for that stuff. I'm not sure what I'm saying.
Yeah, the one thing I do not like about fishing,
All right,
and I'll say this,
and then we'll move on. This is
yeah.
I was
is
going to
that
put this on.
my dad is a fisherman, and I grew up going on the boat with him and and everything like that and seeing.
Keep quiet, boy! You'll
fish.
scare away the fish.
Well, that was a problem. And that's why I would, when I was very, very young, I felt bad for the fish, and I would like kick my feet off the side of the boat and throw stuff overboard trying to scare the fish. And he wasn't happy about that, and I get that. That was kind of an effed up thing to do.
Yeah, you should. I would yell at my son for doing that.
But the one thing I don't like, and this is something my dad did, and I don't like criticizing my dad, but
criticize him.
When you catch a fish, and you make the decision, okay, I'm going to keep this fish. I'm going to eat this fish. Why not just kill it outright? Well, keeping it in a cooler of ice and listening to it thrash around because you want to keep it fresh as possible when you get home, that doesn't sit right with me.
Sure.
I don't like that.
Well, so your options are limited. You can put them in a live well, like basically a built-in cooler in your boat with water in it that replenishes and they stay alive. And the point of that is to keep them fresh.
Right. I get that.
But that's a more comfortable way to be alive, although they are imprisoned in a dark box.
But thrashing around in ice.
Oh, hang on.
Ugh.
And the other choices are versions of the cooler of the live well, which are like a cage thing, like a collapsible mesh wire bucket thingy for like crappies and bluegills or whatever that you dangle over the side. You pull it in when you go to the next spot, or you do a leader line, or what do they call that? I can't think of the name, but that line through their mouth, and now you have a whole bunch of fish dangling from a thing with a thing that goes through their gill and out their mouth.
That's horrible.
That seems a little bit more rough.
It's like the hunt's over. You already won. Don't torture them.
Yeah, but the winning part is eating fresh fish, and you want to keep that sucker alive because you got a rotten fish and it's sitting there in the sunlight next to your boat, it's floating around. You
should at least try to be.
I hear you.
Kinder to.
So I killed, but then you got to bring them home and kill them. Your dad's technique is one of the more heartless ones, I would say. Although it's fine. Because the other thing you can do is what I do when I'm cleaning fish. I smash their heads with the back of a heavy knife or a small baseball bat.
I'm not going to say I like it, but I understand.
But I go out of my way.
That.
I use newspaper piles and I hold them down. Because I'm a wimp, I hold them down with another newspaper kind of thing. I mean, sometimes I'll use my hand too, but it's actually more for grip to hold them steady, and then I destroy their heads as hard as I can.
No, that's...
and purpose is to only have to kill them once.
Yes, only to kill them once. Well, then you do CPR and you bring them back. You're like, welcome back. I don't want die again.
I don't want ghost fish haunting me. I need to destroy the ghost corpse too.
Yeah.
No, but I do. It is a violent thing. But again, back to like I eat meat.
Yes.
I believe that if you eat meat, but you're not willing to kill your own animal, maybe. Well, it's not fair to judge people for that because it is difficult. But you have to acknowledge the fact that if you eat meat, you should be okay with killing an animal, or at least. I don't know. I feel like I don't like the feeling, but I'm just saying, like, I'm willing to pay that price of not feeling good about killing an animal because I'm eating it. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
And so
because you have respect for it.
Yeah, I do. I do have respect for it.
And I have no problem with that. I couldn't personally, I mean, I respect the heck out of animals, but I couldn't personally bring myself to kill one and eat one because I'm a wimp.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, I mean, I would. I would say there is a level of cowardness to that, to not be able to bring myself to overcome that irrational belief.
Right.
I mean, I wouldn't say...
Well, modern society makes it so separated from where food comes from.
So
I mean, salad comes from bags, and meat comes from styrofoam trays.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
Chipotle, they just spawns in like that.
Yeah.
They just, exactly.
It's just a floating Chipotle spinning in the air and you just walk through.
So I get it. So
all right, well,
I'm okay with hunting. I'm okay with everything as long as you're not an a-hole about it.
Knowing the context of your childhood, I think explains your animosity towards hunters. And
human beings. Towards killers. I would not...
Okay, fair.
Hunters...
Yeah. Fair.
Hunters are cool. Killers suck.
Killers suck. Got it. For sure.
And, I refuse to give them the title
human
hunter.
beings we've reoriented nature, or unbalanced nature in a way that whatever. We've killed the wolves. Now we got to kill because
like Sarah Palin and her helicopters shooting wolves.
That's shitty. That's horrible. But deer populations do get too much, or and then there's all
and then there's the obvious argument to that is like, well, we need to kill you because your population is getting too high. So, well, why is your population too high? Because we stole all your land and built houses and Walmarts on it. Poor deer.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of effed up. But yes, we are the superior species.
Generally, because we've removed the predators, but also that, and the main problem with overpopulation is not so much like it's car accidents. They get hit by cars.
Well, I mean, we should just stop giving licenses to them.
I know, but unfortunately, we are the dominant thing, and when a single mom crashes off a bridge because a fucking deer ran in front of her.
When I say license, I was talking hunting license. I was like, we should stop giving driver's license to deers.
Yes,
because they're terrible drivers,
especially those teen deers.
You ever hear that one woman who like went off on a radio show saying like, "I'm sick of having deer hit my car. You need to take down these deer crossing signs. Why are you letting the deer cross here when they run into the cars?"
Brilliant.
She actually believed that the deer crossing sign was
Well,
the deer were looking at the sign, looking and saying, "Okay, this is where I can cross," and the crossing across is like, no, it's telling you this is where they do cross. They're going to do it regardless. This is a warning to you, not permission to the deer.
Yes. Deer don't read English.
No, unfortunately, they do not.
But that's why we don't make those signs in deer language.
Yes,
which would just be.
Yeah.
That's my deer impression. What do deer sound like?
They sound kind of like
kind of bellow a little bit.
Well,
so it's more of a,
the ones that I've come across that are laying down and bleeding out and dying and suffering make that exact sound.
And the subtitle is, "Why me?
Yes.
What did I do to deserve this?"
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah. You give them last rites. You get, "Oh, my child," you get turn on priesty on them.
Well,
yes. Kiss them with the cross and go, Jesus, accept Jesus before you die. You will go to hell.
No,
dear hell.
No, but it is a heartbreaking thing to see.
It's sad. It is sad. Yeah, I agree. And suffering sucks. Meat is delicious. So those two facts will always be in conflict with each other. All right, let's talk about Westworld a little bit.
Yeah.
I only wanted to broach the hunting.
I know.
You didn't do anything wrong. Sorry.
You touched on a very personal topic.
I can tell. One of these days when I bring you to therapy with me, we're going to talk about your childhood there, buddy. Let me have a sip of coffee. Okay, James. All right, so Westworld season 4 or episode 4 of season 2,
the big one.
That's the last week.
Yes,
where
they showed us a whole bunch of stuff.
A lot of stuff about James Delos, the main guy, and the thing, I keep wanting to call it a hatch because I just think it lost so much.
And I normally read every single comment on videos and try and respond to every single one of them. I've sucked this week because my work week at work did not even allow me the freedom to, because that's kind of what I do, is like whenever I have a breather from work, I'll check and kind of talk to people and everything like that. But this week was bad for me though.
That's okay. And I was actually pretty slow on the comments this week too. I'm doing a construction job for somebody. I'm building a thing for a guy. So actually that's why we're doing this early on Saturday, because I got to go. But I did highlight some people's comments just to talk about different topics.
These might be things I'm seeing for the first time, so I'm...
Yeah, more of these are just to trigger us to talk about it, but also acknowledge the people who are throwing in. So, James, by the way, if one of these jumps out at you, feel free to just point at it. So we had a little disagreement about the word fidelity, or not disagreement.
We were on the same page.
I know, we were on the same page. Wrong word. We weren't sure exactly what they meant by that phrase.
Well, and I did see a comment where someone was talking about fidelity as basically the Turing test to make sure that you get consistent results.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying, is like my understanding of the word fidelity was consistency.
Okay.
And I think that's what it turned out to be.
Like maintaining a standard.
Yeah, a baseline, that things are, I don't want to say predictable, but that you get this.
Got it. Let me get this comment in, and then we can answer that. So Elika, or Elisa, anyway, said, "I'm working in the field of research, and I can confirm that the term fidelity in that context means that we want to see if results can repeat themselves. For example, the fidelity of a questionnaire means that every time someone answers a question, they will give the same answer because their understanding of the question hasn't changed. Therefore, the construct the question addresses is valid. Scientist flies away."
I give full precedence to that.
Great comment.
That is
Elika, the scientist.
I would
That's
never
awesome.
argue with a scientist ever.
Yeah, don't. No,
that is awesome.
My fucking brother's a scientist, and I've never stopped hating him for it. No, I'm joking. I'm very proud of him.
At what point do you get to call yourself a scientist, though?
When you get a PhD, I think. Well, I don't know. I think you can. I think scientists don't go around going, "I'm a scientist." No, although I have heard my brother just say, because it's like saying I'm I don't know, I'm an engineer, or
But
like I'm a doctor.
that's one of the funny things is that I work in
But
a sea of lawyers.
he's a professor of neuroscience at a prestigious
Which is amazing.
university. So he's legit scientist.
But I don't want to sound like what I'm about to say is disparaging lawyers at all, because I understand that it's a lot of work and it's very difficult to become a lawyer, and I respect the heck out of that if you're a good person.
Right.
I know a lot of lawyers who are not good people, and I don't respect them, but in general, I respect lawyers.
I know a lot of scientists who suck.
Well, no, what I'm saying is
that's not true either. I know a lot that are
one thing I learned is that, I'm not saying they all do this, but a large group of the ones that at least that I encounter or have encountered in my life love to drop the fact that they are lawyers.
Were they illegally on your dad's land?
Well, in trees, no. But they'll say, I mean, there's like, they'll walk in and go, well, I am, Esquire or something like that. Yeah. And they always just throw that little
jurisprudent.
Juris
Doctorate.
Or they'll say, well, my opinion on the matter is the lawyer in me says this, or they just love kind of throwing that in there, like this is what I am.
Isn't that the logical fallacy of appeal to authority kind of thing?
It might be.
I'm just basically by announcing you're a lawyer, you're saying, I'm not saying that I'm a lawyer. I'm saying that your opinion isn't as valid as my opinion because I'm a lawyer. That's essentially what that is doing.
But as much as I respect the toil and trouble and intelligence and work that it needs to become a lawyer, for some reason, maybe because of my love of science,
or maybe because you work in the entertainment business.
Well, I definitely respect, but my love of science and my respect for science is on a higher echelon than that.
Oh, I see.
So when I see someone who's a scientist, I'm like, whoa, this person is awesome.
It does take a lot.
But I don't often run across a person, like you said, who can claim that title, who will say, well, as a scientist, is like, it seems like there's a more humble reverence to it, to use the same word again.
Well, there probably is. I would imagine. I mean, there's certainly got to be humble lawyers out there too.
Oh, there are, and I know many of them.
And the last thing you want is a lawyer who's not confident. Who's just like, ooh, oh man, God, I suck at this.
I just like people who can bring themselves down to the level of whoever they're talking to without trying to assert themselves over top of them and trying to dominate with some sort of ego-driven thing.
That's why when I go to McDonald's, I go, no, can I take your order?
Yes. I just like people like that.
I just want to correct. I think you can call yourself a scientist if you're doing research. It's probably that simple. Okay. Because a lot of grad students, even a lot of undergrads, do a lot of direct research. You probably the line is a little gray when you're into the grad student thing.
Yeah.
And we're not a science person, but because I wouldn't. Yeah, because I know just from knowing my brother for so long that he has grad students and PhD students that are working for him and under him all the time and whatever else, and so. I think he would defend them as scientists. That's all. But
I love people who know their crap.
Well,
and this person absolutely knows what they're talking about.
It's a great comment. There's also a lot of human foibles in the science world as well. I mean, the story of science includes big personalities and mistakes and ego, and they're humans. They're not immune from those things. Yeah. But the process of science is so powerful that over time it does arrive at greater truths, because the whole point of science is to disprove itself. Yeah, that's why it's separate. It stands out as something. It's our best technique for approaching questions, because it exists to disprove itself. Because if you can't disprove it, then you're being accurate.
And that's one of my favorite things about science. And and I don't want to touch on the whole religion, religion. I don't want to do that because I don't want to disrespect anyone in that way. But the thing I love about science is
they have eternal life. It's impossible.
Yes, it's exactly what you said. Is that it's the same approach that I like to take in life. I am always. If I'm wrong about something and someone can demonstrate that I'm wrong about something, I'm not going to be pig-headed about it and just step back and go, "Whoa, no, I'm not going to." And I know I just said that nothing's going to change my opinion on hunting based on what I just said.
Right.
But that's a very niche opinion. I can respect both sides of it. But
also, by the way, there's a difference between facts and scientific theory testing, and you having an opinion about dudes stealing animals from your land and being a shitty. Not that that's what you're upset about, but you're. Whatever.
But, the fact that it exists to challenge itself, it exists to keep asking the questions, and science approaches everything with the same question.
Yeah.
It's like, do we really know? No, we don't.
Right.
Nothing is ever set in stone. Even scientific law is still open to being questioned.
Yes,
which is great.
And over time, certain scientific laws become questioned so much, but like gravity and evolution, and like those big theories that become scientific laws and facts.
Yeah,
and
things only eventually become a law when they can be proven through fidelity.
And by And also their predictive power. That's another vastly, really important, powerful part of whether or not scientific theory has validity at all. Like, for instance, I predict that after I work today, I'm going to be tired. It has nothing to do with, I don't know why that... okay, next comment. This is about, okay. Robert Rannon wrote, RE discussion whether Mr. Delos in an artificial body benefits Mr. Delos. That's in parentheses.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I... or a host whose loop is a Turing test loop of Mr. Delos benefits William, in parentheses. Why couldn't you run him in VirtualBox, overclocked, easier to eval, updates cheaper... I know this, updates, comma, cheaper. I know this probably isn't true from later scenes, but cheaper. For that matter, just kick out a beta and let the customers do the trouble. So he's saying, why bother with the body if he's just a simulation?
Huh.
I think that's an interesting point. And I wrote him back. I was like, yes, I agree. I was very excited about that. But
this guy strikes me as someone who's probably a programmer and is vastly more intelligent than I am. I like the way he's thinking. I was about to say that. Yeah, I was about to say that. No, I do like this thought. That's an interesting that is really that's the kind of perspective that you don't get watching a show as yourself. That you don't when you don't discuss and engage with other people, because that's completely, because you're dealing with a bunch of people who are programmers on the show who are creating code and algorithms to not manipulate, but to simulate and emulate human behavior.
Right.
And so why wouldn't they do that? You're right.
Well, they probably do. Maybe they have a whole... I mean, again, we don't know. I mean, that's the point of the... or not the point, but that's the inherent in a construct of a sci-fi world, is that there could be a whole nother massive show just about the research department or something.
But do you think that maybe because this particular instance is different, that James Delos is inherently different from any other host, because what you're doing is you're taking a fully developed, fully formed, pre-existing human consciousness and you're trying to insert that into something artificial. So when you take something like that, which has the experience of reality already inside of it, and you were to put it into a machine, do you think that it would immediately understand that it's not in its natural environment? Like a good example of this would be the original RoboCop movies. Have you seen all those?
I watch them every morning.
Okay, great. So when they were trying to create RoboCop, they were trying to essentially do the same thing. They were taking a man who existed before and trying to put his consciousness into a shell that was mostly machine.
Murphy.
Yes.
Murphy must destroy perps.
Right. So what happened to the original prototypes that you see in RoboCop 1, where they were putting like criminal minds into robots?
They put them in jars of formaldehyde and put them in the island of Dr. Moreau, and in that Alien movie where Sigourney Weaver turns into a monster.
Right, but but in the original, it's kind of comic.
I don't remember. I don't know.
It's horrible. Because,
what do they do with them?
Because they turn these machines on, and as soon as the brain engages and it realizes it's in this weird robot thing, it starts freaking out, and one of them even pulled a gun and blew his own brains out.
Oh yeah, okay.
It just, the human mind could not reconcile that. So
sure.
I'm wondering if this is kind of a similar thing. If they were to put him inside like a completely digital atmosphere to do these kind of tests on him, would he immediately understand and reject his reality and completely shut down? Is this human body something that approximates what he understands to be reality just enough to trick him into existing as long as he possibly can?
Yes, that's actually kind of what I wrote back to the guy. I told him it was brilliant, and then I said, I suppose one could argue the mind-body connection is more integrated than we think in terms of self-awareness and identity, like how we're learning more and more about gut biomes affecting mood and brain function and all that. It's plausible that the wholeness of the mind requires a human form to contextualize itself, which I think is what you're saying.
I should have read that before I started talking.
That's
exactly what I mean.
But it seems that should also be simulated and less fire. So but that was an interesting point of view, I thought, and thanks for weighing in on it, James. You joined the convo. Cinematic dissertation. I put these in big categories, but all right. So Philip Black wrote "The Man in Black Telling Major Craddock." Now, which one's Major Craddock now?
He was the guy whose name we can never remember.
Why? That doesn't illuminate my question at all. Who's Major Craddock?
Wasn't he the guy that eventually had the nitroglycerin poured down his throat and got shot and blew up?
Oh, the guy with the small eyes?
The guy with the Jesus complex.
The small eyes guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The guy that Teddy let go.
Yeah, he's got tight face skin because he's probably been thin his whole life. That he was sitting... Okay, let me start over. The Man in Black telling Major Craddock that he was sitting next to death was a level of cinematic dissertation I've only seen before in Jaws when Quint was telling the story of the sinking Indianapolis. What an episode.
That was a super powerful scene.
You responded to this.
I love that.
Yeah, one of the highlights. So you like the I thought that was a little melodramatic, personally.
to me, the reason that it resonated with me, the reason that I loved it so much and gave me that sort of like cinematic tingles in your hand or something like that,
got your shark bumps going,
is because you see the Man in Black. You know who he is. You know his backstory. You know what he's done and how much time he spent in the park. And you know he's been in these exact kind of situations so many times before.
Yeah.
But it was always in the context where he couldn't be hurt, where he was risking nothing.
God mode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now finally, he's basically saying, I didn't need those training wheels.
Right.
I am better than the restrictions that were put on me would allow me to demonstrate.
Right.
And this is who I truly am. This is what I can do, and I am not afraid of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
And that took his character to a whole nother level for me.
Yes. It would have been an interesting turn if when he had his God mode turned off, if he just turned real spooked and scary.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jesus. Like, he just jumps like, oh, God. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. This is no fun.
Or
I don't like the risk.
Yeah, or it's like if you're like in Kung Fu World or something like that, and all the other people that you're fighting against are just like standing still and letting you karate chop them and
Yeah.
make you feel powerful
You mean like
because you're the guest.
every Jackie Chan movie ever
Pretty
made?
much. Or every like
He's jumping through a ladder.
Or more to the point, every Jackie Chan movie ever made that starred an American counterpart who clearly could not fight anywhere near on the same level as Jackie Chan.
Sure.
So every fight scene was a series of like super quick cuts and everything like that because the person can't do jack.
Yeah. Yeah. With those big, slow, dumb guy swings.
Yeah. So it's sort of like that. It's like he's not just a helpless guest. He can hold his own.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does seem like he can. So I guess that's good. So yeah, all right. Yeah, the Jaws scene, is that the one where he's like, that was for? Is he talking about the sinking, the World War II shark?
I think so.
Attacks?
It's been a long time since
yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, the
but-
Indianapolis was I think a destroyer, but it was a boat in. I didn't look this up. I'm just basing this off memory, so I'm sure it's mostly wrong. But I do recall that there were, American destroyers. So certainly, I'm guessing this happened to Japanese sailors as well, but they were surviving in the water, and then the sharks showed up, and so there's these like balls of dudes, and a shark would peel a guy or two off every few hours.
Yep.
It's just fucking terrifying. And the guy tells that story. Quince, the old crusty guy. Yeah, we gotta. Nobody look in the bathroom, but if the boat starts shaking, it's because I'm having magic finger time.
Yes. Yeah,
That's a deleted scene.
I know.
There's actually Jaws DVD is filled with deleted scenes where the characters just sneak off to masturbate.
Yeah, and I don't know why I went so strong.
Get out of the water!
on
I gotta
magic
masturbate.
finger thing.
That's funny.
No,
funny.
I took it a little bit too far. Yes, obviously I know what he was really doing.
Yeah.
But I like to think that it was something else.
Sure.
And I went with it a little bit too
There
strong.
might be a little part of that wants to be like, yeah, you're just kind of staking your claim on that side of the.
No, but I
don't know.
I knew the whole time that you were right about it, but
Yeah.
I was just.
Nobody gets their nipple to bounce like that unless they're working heading to downtown orgasm city.
And they weren't just trying to be crude or anything like that about it. They were showing that this,
Sure.
they were trying to make you believe that he was real, that he
Right.
was a human. And,
Yeah.
and what more human thing can you do than that?
Yes, exactly. Which is also dangerous because now the word is out to the people who want to build the robot army that takes over the planet. Make your robots masturbate in the morning, and we won't be able to tell that they're not people because that's how you blend in.
Yes. It's like when Logan was walking around the party trying to figure out who the robot was. If they were all just going to town on themselves, he'd be like, well, I can't tell.
Why not? Why is it? God damn it! I wish we could make movies like that's the tell. It's like robots don't masturbate.
Yeah.
See if you have to are you a robot? Get it out! Start jerking off! And the guy, okay, I will, man. Don't kill me.
It's like the scene from The Thing.
Yeah,
trying to figure out who was the alien.
I don't remember that. That's the one where the blob lives in Antarctica.
Yeah, and they test the blood to find out who is or isn't.
Oh yeah,
And that was the
is that Kurt Russell? Isn't there one of those handsome '80s guys?
Oh, I don't think it was. I don't think it was Kurt Russell.
I don't know who I'm thinking of. Maybe I'm thinking.
And there was a remake.
Chris Christopherson.
I couldn't tell you.
He flies helicopters.
I love the movie, but I haven't seen it in a very long time. And when I saw it, I was a child, and I didn't make the connection between names and so forth. So I'm sure if I saw it again today, I'd be like, "Wow, how did I miss that?"
How dare you?
Yeah.
So choking. I don't know what this. So Bernard Jakey M writes Bernard choking Elsie out was not a reveal in.
I know exactly what this means.
Episode. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can we stop at the second sentence here? Because I do have something important to say.
All right. Then I'll start. All right. Bernard choking Elsie out was not a reveal this episode.
Reveal in quotes.
Reveals in quotes. They blatantly showed it in a Bernard flashback late last season.
Okay. I get exactly what Jakey is saying here. And I remember when we were watching this episode, I was the one who said that this confirms that Bernard was the one who attacked Elsie.
Yeah.
And he's saying, like, this is not confirmation because we blatantly saw it before.
Yeah.
And I see where he's coming from, but I disagree.
Okay.
And the reason I said that was not because I did not remember seeing that. I definitely remember seeing that. The reason I said that is because Bernard had that recollection at the behest of Dr. Ford. And Ford, you can believe what his motivations are. You know, you can say that he's an honorable guy, that he was doing things on the up and up, and he wouldn't lie to someone. But remember, Ford was the guy who represented himself as the magician. And that everything in the park is magic but to the magician.
Right.
And the point of a magician is to conceal, to create illusions, to manipulate.
To steal your girlfriend.
And he did that consistently to Bernard. He programmed Bernard, as he did the other host, to not be able to see things he didn't want them to see. To create illusions to make Bernard believe that he's talking to his wife from afar when that really wasn't his wife.
Yeah. The memories of the kid weren't real.
Everything that he fed into Bernard was a lie.
Yeah.
So, when we see flashbacks, especially the one here where he was choking out Elsie, I recognize that that's what Ford wanted him to remember, what Ford wanted him to see, but I didn't trust it. I did not see that, even though they blatantly showed it. To me, that was not confirmation that that actually happened until it's validated by a third party, Elsie in this case.
Yeah.
So for me, that moment, I stand by it. I say this is confirmation that that is what happened.
Okay.
Because simply Bernard remembering it because of Ford is not enough for me.
A totally fair argument. I can't pick that apart because I mean the vagaries of the consciousness or anybody's memory is real, or is it just a part of the software?
But to Jakey's credit, I did not specify that when I said this was confirmation. What I should have said in retrospect was this is confirmation to me, because I didn't consider that scene in season 1 as sufficient evidence to sell me on the idea that that was what actually happened.
I got you. Should I give the rest of it?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not even sure if it's relevant, but so this is continuing Jakey's comment. She did not already know Bernard was a host until seeing his diagnostic on the iPad. She then starts to list reasons he could not be a host, like his family and the fact that he rotated out, that's in quotes, of work at Westworld before realizing that it's all just a backstory.
100% agree.
Yeah. So I mean that's the difference between we were shown that choking thing, which what you said was a memory but not a confirmation yet.
Right.
And then he's saying that she didn't fully understand it until she got to the backstory.
Yeah, I stopped trusting Ford when it was revealed that the image that Bernard was talking to, that purported to be his wife, was just an illusion. Because if you think about it...
I'm thinking about it.
When we saw that, that could very well have been Arnold's real wife, which I'm still on the fence about. I'm still thinking that to me, that is not confirmation that that is who Arnold's wife was. That's who Ford wanted Bernard to believe was his wife.
Yeah.
And what I want to go back and look at is when he was talking to her, was that in a private setting? Could anyone else have walked in and like gone to the phone next door and saw him having this interaction with this person?
Right.
Because if that truly was Arnold's wife, then at that point in time, she would have been like in her 70s, 80s.
Okay, yeah.
So that clearly wasn't the real Arnold's wife there talking. This was clearly a simulation talking back to him, which when the digitization effect falls away, we see Ford behind it and we hear his voice. Mm-hmm. So anyone else walking in and looking at that probably would have seen Ford himself sitting there talking to Bernard.
Pretending to be his wife?
And Ford has programmed him in that instance to see him as his wife.
Why are you coming home so late?
Exactly.
Where have you been?
That is so creepy.
I just feel like you don't spend any time with me anymore.
Yes.
You're so always at work. Are you actually working?
And you know the other thing.
Maybe you're out at the bar, at the hotel, at the Ramada Inn.
Can you bring home some fava beans?
Are you eating someone else's fava beans?
But it makes you wonder, though, at what point was the Bernard host programmed to exist in a mental frame? Because we know that he moved his family into that Wright house
Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright house.
Yeah, the Frank Lloyd Wright house, to be closer to the park.
Right.
So he wouldn't have been.
Have we even met his family? I mean, is there a chance his family is completely new people? Like you're just like a lady and a couple of little girls?
I like to trust that Charlie is authentic because that was his cornerstone.
Yeah.
But I don't fully, because there's going to come a point in time where they're going to reveal, they're going to be a flashback, and there's going to show Arnold, and it's going to show Arnold with his wife, and his wife is going to look exactly like the woman in that particular scene, and I'm going to say, this is confirmation that this is his wife, and someone's going to be like, it's not confirmation, they blatantly showed it back in season 1, but I'm going to say, it's confirmation for me, because I don't believe it yet.
Fair enough. Yeah. Is there a chance that Charlie the son is actually Charlotte Hale? Charlotte, same name, kind of.
I don't believe.
If you're screwing with memories, it wouldn't take much to switch a boy to a girl. I mean, or a girl to a boy. You know what I mean? Like that's true. That's not an insane notion in this context.
I like where you're going with that, but I believe that's not the case because in order for Bernard to reach his sentience, his level of consciousness, that you need that cornerstone of pain and suffering. You need something real.
Or maybe Charlotte was like a girl born after Charlie died. You could, because
maybe
that's plausible. I'm just making stuff up, but like I could see a family like naming the next kid after the first kid. Although that'd be a little brutal. It's like when people name their dog the same name, but they just
hey, can you imagine? It was like
this is like, Stevie 2.0.
It was like you're 14 years old. Dad, why am I named Hank 2? Well, son, Hank 1 didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, we had one that was better, and I loved him very much, and well, we fucked out of grief, and then you were born 9 years.
I was up in a tree and I saw the bush shake, so I shot, and time to make another Hank.
Yep, I get that a lot. I am very upset at my parents for forcing me to be alive. Thanks a lot, fuck faces.
Yeah, and it did kind of. The whole thing about why we were trying to figure out what it said when it meant he was rotating out is like I do understand that when you have employees you rotate out. Well, that made sense. The reason I was hesitating for that is because I was trying to figure out what time span we're talking about, because the most recent Arnold that we saw had moved his family close to the park.
Right.
So there wouldn't be a need to rotate out in that sense because he could theoretically just go home at the end of the day and be with his family.
Yeah, we didn't assume that they were just like spinning their way out the door.
Right.
Like it's the context, is it an employee rotation or a host rotation? Essentially is what we were confused
But it seems to me like what they did was, even though Arnold's family was close at hand outside of the park, when they built the Bernard host, they did not give him the most up-to-date memory.
Yeah.
They put him in a position where he still believed he was far away from his family, so he had to live on site. That they weren't simply in a house outside the bounds of reality. That he could not say, oh, I'm just going to dip out of the park and go visit my family, because that would be detrimental. You can't let Bernard go out there because everything Bernard believes is a lie, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of.
So that's that's why I was struggling with the whole concept of rotating out. Because it's like, wait a minute, we know that he should believe that his family is like within like a day's travel.
Right.
So why does he still live on site? Why doesn't he go back to his family? Why doesn't he take a tram, just like the guests take a tram to come into the park? Why doesn't he take one out and spend his afternoons with his family?
Or better yet, another park in the park that's like park vacation.
Yes.
You know, like how the Vatican has like a gay nightclub.
Okay, does it?
There's a lot of stuff about gay nightclubs.
Is it called Cardinal Sin?
It should be. Wink. Hey, boys, are you wearing any panties underneath that long? What do they wear? Robes?
I don't know.
Well, I just offended everybody. You're welcome. Maybe. Okay. All right. I'll save that for Catholic Professor, my other YouTube channel. I think this comment might be related here. So this is Sarah Aiken. Thank you, Sarah, for having a name I can read. I think it was difficult for Elsie to accept that Bernard was a host because she'd known him for so long without ever questioning it.
Agreed.
As viewers, we've been questioning everything all along.
Yes.
People rarely examine their own lives in quite that way. It only occurred to her that his quote-unquote backstory could be fabricated when she used the actual word. What's more... Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Verbalizing things.
That's true.
Continuing with her. What's more, she's angry, afraid, and just trying to process the trauma of being choked and chained up by the one person she trusted.
100% agree.
Great insights, Sarah.
That's very well put.
I bet Sarah's a nice friend. She sounds like a very sensitive and thoughtful person. And I'd like to subscribe to her newsletter. Tweet me your newsletter, Sarah. And someone responded, oh boy, here's a name. I'm from the Midwest. Suckbeer Suckhan wrote, I don't know. Sarah Aiken, I think if anybody choked me out and left me in a cave all chained up, the first thing I would do, given the opportunity, is shoot the fucker dead. No questions. Why is Elsie so stupid, and who is feeding her? She never reveals it or anything about the time she is chained up. And now Luna Yaska, I think we might have mentioned Luna before on the podcast. I didn't reveal.
You didn't read more?
Yeah, I didn't click on read more for this. I copy pasted.
It probably just says, screw you, Hank.
Yeah, it's probably. And no, by the way, Hank should go away. I'm used to that.
No.
I get it all the time.
Totally joking about it.
I'm not. Elsie mentioned, Luna, this is Luna. Elsie mentioned that Bernard left her with protein bars and a bucket. No mention of water, though. Dehydration will kill you faster than starvation. She also looks remarkably well-groomed for someone who has been chained in a cave with no toilet paper. That's a good point. She was pretty clean. I mean, she looked like she had just just taken a bus trip across town.
There's a lot to deconstruct here. And before I forget, one of the regrets I have of when we were talking about that past episode is that we got kind of stuck in a loop arguing about whether or not the memory of Bernard going into the cave was a single linear memory.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into that so much. The thing that I'm confused about, the thing that I wanted to talk about that slipped my mind because we got sidetracked, was why did Clementine bring him there? What is her motivations? Who is she working for? She obviously knew Elsie was there. She put him there for a purpose. How far did she drag him? Because we know that park is like 22 miles or something like off in the distance. Yeah. She ripped a hole in his butt to get him there, so he must have been dragged for quite a while.
Yeah.
Who is Clementine working for? Who is pulling her strings? Why does she put him there? Why, if Clementine is truly on Dolores' side, as it seems to make us believe, she would hate humans, so why didn't she just go and execute Elsie because she knew she was there?
Right.
Why didn't she tell Dolores that Elsie was there? She has some motivations working in the background that we do not fully yet understand.
Agreed. And I don't have an answer, obviously. I don't know who, but it seemed to me, if I were going to pick the thing that's most important about why Clementine brought him to that cave, was so that he could grab the soul ball. That's what I would guess was what she was going for.
Right.
In which case, the identity of the soul ball
is paramount to that scene.
It's paramount to explaining who's in charge of Clementine. But it could be that she wanted her to find Elsie or do something down in that cave, because he'd already been down there recently.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
And I remember when we were talking about that particular thing, I said that when he had that memory where Bernard saw himself walking into that cave.
Yeah.
And I said something like, oh, he could be going in there to check on Elsie or something like that. We kind of got into a loop there, and I didn't really explain myself very well, because you had a very valid point. You were like...
I did?
Well, yeah, you said, I see him walking into that cave, and we know that Elsie is not in that cave because the next time we see him, he's opening the panel. And had Elsie been in the cave, she would have seen him open the panel, and then she would have then known that there was an exit there.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to say is that we don't know, based on the information that we have, how many times Bernard has been to that cave. Because when we see him down in that bunker, no one in that bunker is reacting to him in a way as if to suggest, oh, sir, I didn't expect you here. This is your first time here.
Right.
They accepted him there as someone who was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So you can surmise that he's been there many, many times in the past, and we don't know if the Bernard that we see walking into that cave is the same linear memory as the Bernard that we see in the cave touching that panel. It could be two completely distinct points in time.
Yeah.
So I can test that we don't have enough information to say that the Bernard that we see walking into the cave is not going there to interact with Elsie, and that the Bernard that we see opening the panel is the same linear iteration of the Bernard that we saw outside.
Right, those could be separate.
Could be completely separate cases, right?
Visions or memories.
And it's also possible to say that the Bernard that we saw walking in there could have been the same Bernard, and Elsie could have been there as well. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe she was unconscious.
Right.
We don't know. We don't have the information to know for sure, and we don't have enough information to say that either one of us was wrong about that. But I do say that while I say that you can't disprove what I'm saying there, is I think the stronger likelihood is that you're right.
Oh. What am I right about?
That was the same linear memory, and that Elsie was not in the cave at the time that he was walking in.
I think that yes. Go ahead.
But I still contest that there's not enough information to say that that is definitively the fact.
Do you think...
And I hate that I brought that up during the whole episode, because it's not important.
Right. It's not that... Yeah. I mean, the purpose of him walking into the cave, in as far as the Westworld narrative that we're being presented on HBO.com is to show Bernard in that moment that there's more to the cave than he thinks.
Right.
Because remember, like, why would I, like, if I remembered that I used to walk into some restaurant I've never been into, I'd be like, oh, there must be something else in that restaurant that I need to go look into.
But if we're...
what?
The whole thing that we didn't talk about was the 2-week time span of Elsie being down there and looking as fresh as she is.
Yeah.
Is that trying to? I mean,
well, maybe he left her with a bunch of protein bars and in a nice kit of face cream.
I like to think that that's just an unfortunate consequence of trying to write around a narrative and not wanting her to look like crap. I don't believe that this is a trail of crumbs leading to the idea that she's really a host that was printed out or something like that. I don't think that's where they're going.
Like, I always appreciate in like apocalypse or dystopian movies where everybody's teeth are fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, good. They bothered to make it look like they have Oreo cookie crumbs in their teeth. Like, we're all going to look like monsters and maniac. I mean,
or they just did their casting from my hometown.
From Jesus, or from my family.
Yeah.
But then after a little while, I'm like, God, I wish I could look at some actor teeth. I don't want to look at these fucking gross ass teeth here. What am I staring in my own mouth? But it's more realistic to, like, if they did dirty them all up and stuff. But actually, during the apocalypse, we probably will. I don't know. I guess you got to keep up on your oral hygiene. All right. So next one, Abernathy. Let's see. JJ just asked a couple questions, I think. So he writes, is Abernathy somebody? Did he plateau after the Pick season 1? Are some hosts people or images of former people who have been planted to play fake lives? Quote, or then he writes the shortcut. And then another guy, Machiavelli, although the L's are ones because he's on the internet. Abernathy is probably Logan or something. I would say Old William is definitely a host, and his backstory is the death of his wife. Here's my take.
That's pretty interesting.
I don't think Abernathy is anybody more than just a host. I think he just played a bunch of different roles. I think he's an older host. He's been Dolores' dad, and he's had a couple other jobs, right?
He was the professor. He was the cannibal. Because the thing is that
the professor.
He was Mary Ann. He was Gilligan. But in the last episode, if you pay really close attention to the diagnostic tablet, you can see the tablet is shifting between his past roles. And I think at one point it actually does say the professor.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay.
And then his new role, the passenger, which is also kind of like a double entendre.
Right.
Because the passenger, we think, obviously, this is the new role they programmed him in. He must be a passenger on the train. His prime directive is, I have to get to the train.
Yes. Yeah.
But does it also mean that he is carrying within him a passenger?
Oh, like another...
Yeah, whose consciousness is inside his brain.
Well, it'd be funny if he had it in his mouth and he's just like, which way to the train? And like it keeps like popping out like an egg. Like
the tiny little Ford going, let me out.
Little Ford's in there with a tiny little rattlesnake.
I must be in... He has a little control panel, a little lever. He's just controlling him like Ghostbusters controlling the Statue of Liberty.
Or Men in Black, that green thing in the head.
Yeah.
In Monk's head. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think there's too much to Abernathy's backstory.
That's a really interesting thing, though.
Yeah, it is.
I never considered it.
Would be like, why did he react so strongly to the photo? Was it purely because the photo just didn't comport with his programming, or because there was something specific about the woman in the photo that triggered that response? Yeah. I don't know.
I like to think that he had reached a certain point in his host existence, that he had served enough past roles and he had had enough overlapping reveries and memories that he was susceptible to that leap in evolution, if you want to say it.
I would say
it that way.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Because it's like, if he really was someone in the past like that, then you would really have to hate that person.
Yeah.
And which could be, support that William for him being Logan. Because think about it, his loop is that he dies constantly because
Abernathy does.
Yeah, he's sitting there. He's
the bad guys kill him and then take his daughter.
Kill his wife too, which is pretty traumatic. Kill him and then rape his daughter and murder in the barn.
Yeah,
that's not a happy life.
That's just another Tuesday in Westworld.
He wakes up looking to like, oh, Dolores, go out and explore that natural splendor. I'll be back here, ready to be murdered. make sure you get back before 8. I don't want to miss your raping and murdering.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just hope that there's a lot of days where Dolores just paints a picture and goes home, has a nice day.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that the Rebus and his characters are programmed to go there as part of a narrative, or that they don't get triggered to go there unless
Yeah,
someone starts the Dolores quest.
There's probably a lot of those branching storyline things,
Right,
because then you have Teddy rushing in to rescue,
Right.
but you also want to set it up so that the guests of the park get to be the ones that do the rescuing too.
Right, but what happens if Rebus is triggered to go there by someone starting the Dolores quest, but Rebus is also part of another quest that gets triggered by someone interacting with another host?
Well, that's a good
what
point.
if two guests interact with opposing hosts? Do they just bring out another Rebus?
Well, I don't think they bring out another Rebus, although I did know a guy who worked at Disney World, and he said that there's one spot you could stand and you could see 3 different Cinderellas.
Yes.
And he was pretty proud of knowing that. It was like years ago, I don't know. But I don't think they do multiple Rebuses. But there probably are conflicts like that come up.
Another question.
It's probably adaptable enough, like a choose your own adventure sort of.
In these flashbacks where Bernard allegedly sees himself doing things that he didn't previously recollect,
Okay.
do you think there's a possibility that, since we know from the trailer there are multiple Bernards, and we know that
Okay.
that there could be other Bernards in the park that he could possibly interact with, and they're connected in some sort of way. And I don't mean that based on like the picture we saw from the trailer, because that was clearly like cold storage, and we could see that this was the old Bernard, because he had that black skeletal thing inside of him, like young Robert did.
Yeah, like the carbon fiber.
So these were like evolutions of the different models of Bernard. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's more than one Bernard going around. This is just that he's been rebuilt many times over the past to get to the part that he's currently at.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But could it be that there's another Bernard out there that's doing
possible.
more heinous things, and that these flashbacks we're seeing are not the Bernard that we've been following, but a different Bernard?
Maybe they haven't activated the multiple Bernards yet. Maybe like we're reached a point in the story where it makes sense for them to power up the other Bernards, send them out there, and now you got double Murphy must arrest punks.
And Elsie must choose which is the true Bernard and
2
pull the
Robocops
trigger.
is the joke I'm trying to make there. Yeah, could be. Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
No, I think that'd probably be kind of
It would have been funny if Elsie was in that cave with like 20 Bernards.
Yes.
Just like trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
But
Why aren't any of you helping me?
The sad thing is none of the Bernards can see the other Bernard. Doesn't look like anything to me. They all think they're the only one there.
It's like that John Malkovich scene. It's just okay. All right, so a couple more. Final thing.
We don't really. We know.
Well, this doesn't require a lot of intellectual analysis, but the monkey spanks. We already kind of touched on this in this podcast. But
I know.
I just wanted to acknowledge the people that
I
noticed
shouldn't
this.
have been so strong on
I'm
it.
not bringing this up to pick on you. I actually enjoyed it immensely. I'm very much. I love happy finger time. What was it? Magic finger time.
I was trying to come up with anything that could divert the
perfect.
topic away.
I've never heard of that for as a euphemism, and now I think it's the best euphemism.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is it's gender neutral. It works for everybody. Women have magic fingers, men have magic fingers, and everybody in between has magic fingers. It's fucking great. I love it. So, hold on. Let me just give this guy's comment, unless you want to really.
Well, he was just on vibrate mode.
Yeah. Yeah, he was really
He
going
turned his ringer off.
Yeah, you're having fun when your tits bounce.
Yeah.
So Dizzy D wrote, "LOL." He was definitely shaking the bacon.
Yes,
I think I'd say curing the bacon. Dizzy D. No, I think the big reveal this season is that we have been watching a hybrid Bernard and Arnold since episode 1. It looks like Ford succeeded where William failed, and maybe the fugue state of mind is the process needed for the mind to accept the new body. The door is for William to find the solution to his biggest mistake. Now, hold on. There's a lot there. But Peter Howie also weighed in. Robo James Delos was totally wanking. Just wanted to...
Very eloquently put.
And those weren't the only two, but those are the ones I picked out.
Yeah.
Did you want to answer anything in Dizzy D's comment?
No, I mean, I love what he says. I mean,
right.
It's the whole fugue state, the wrestling with your own internal dialogue and trying to understand and reconcile your reality with your human mind and your robot body. Yeah. It's very possible that's a process.
Yeah, like if I woke up inside a microwave, I'd be like, oh boy,
yeah,
this is in trouble. So, all right, well, there you go, guys. We're going to talk about a couple other things, but that's our Westworld chunk. A lot of good stuff. A lot of interesting things coming up in episode 5. It's 8 episodes, right?
I should know, but I don't want to know because I don't want it to end.
It's very look upable.
I know.
All right, so James.
And actually, before you go further, that kind of makes sense why they would incinerate the whole room. Because if he's been in there for like 35... Well, they would, yeah. If he's been in there spanking the monkey for like 35 days, I wouldn't want to go in there and clean it. I'd just burn it all.
Totally, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, if you the best way to eliminate protein evidence is burn the entire place down. No Formula 409 in a paper towel. Nothing that sensible. Yeah.
The only gyms I go to are the ones that are rebuilt every week.
Yeah, yeah. Or how about just use some stolen Starbucks napkins like a civilized person does? That's what I do.
Yep.
Good point. Thank you. You're thinking like me now.
Yes.
You disgusting human. So James, we're done with Westworld for this podcast, but you saw Deadpool.
I did.
Deadpool.
I saw
2.
Deadpool 2.
So
and
no spoilers. But
no, I won't say any spoilers. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I had a great time. Ryan Reynolds is the only person on the face of the planet who can do that character justice.
Because he's handsome but funny?
He breaks the fourth wall constantly. There is a hilarious series of scenes in the after credits or immediately after the movie's over that you have to stay to watch.
Okay.
It is...
What does it feel like a superhero movie? Does it still have like kind of like arc?
Not really. No.
A villain and a superhero duking it out?
I mean, I don't want to tell you what his quest is in this movie because it gives away too much.
Is it like a tramp stamp, like something funny? Like silly?
No, it's...
I gotta get my ear pierced.
There's a noble reason for his quest. He goes through something that is bad,
sure.
but it coalesces into this great comedy. It's just a freaking good time.
So my Deadpool, the first one. One of the things I loved about it right away, and it was apparent in the first scene, and they really have a pretty killer opening scene in Deadpool. It's a very self-aware film. It just feels like it just knows that it's goofy, and it doesn't try to make that They're not trying to be too cute about it. Although I guess you could maybe argue they are trying to be.
Yeah, he says things that like the whole fourth wall thing. That's the whole basis of the comedy. Like he in Deadpool 2, he gets. Like the big biker guy with the big white beard from the first one comes up to him and starts giving him sage like life advice in the bar, and he says like, things are gonna get better. What's bad today might not be bad tomorrow. There's always a new horizon. He was saying stuff like that, and he just stops and he goes, sit down. No more speaking lines for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or he does something really cool, and he goes, I really hope they caught that in slow motion.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be kind of fun to make a movie where every line of dialogue is brutally straightforward, expositional. Like the guy just shows up and he's like, I am here to represent danger, as they're like trying to get. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like where they're almost describing what the subtext is of what's written on the page, as opposed to just I don't know. It's like flipping. Like instead of having the audience have to figure out, you just have every single line is directly related to what's happening.
And have you seen the movie Logan?
Yes.
Okay, so this won't be spoiling
anything for you. That's
where
a drunk Wolverine has a midlife crisis.
Right, basically, yeah. So this movie opens with that kind of thing because there's a direct connection between Deadpool and Wolverine because Deadpool started off in the Wolverine movie, The Origin, as Weapon X, where he had no mouth and everything like that. And Ryan Reynolds has said many times that he hates that he wishes he could erase that from history because that's a crappy origin story for Deadpool.
Right.
So he's very much linked to Wolverine, and we know that Wolverine tragically comes to his end in Logan.
Oh, he does?
He does.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So the movie opens with a little music box of Logan, and it's Wolverine impaled on that tree branch, playing music and spinning around, and Deadpool sitting next to him goes, how dare you try and one-up me by dying in your movie.
All right. Will there be another Wolverine, like a new guy?
No.
Of course there will.
Unless they do they've already done
a Spider-Man reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, a teen gets the power and turns into a wolf monster.
You don't get the power. He went through a lot of. Stryker basically infused his skeleton with adamantium. It was like that doesn't just happen.
So he gets bit by an adamantium spider.
Yeah.
That also has spikes in its forearms.
Speaking of which, I learned something pretty creepy about.
By the way, how does he bend his wrists when the blades retract?
I don't know.
It's like a splint.
But
maybe they go all the way into the arm.
Thanos actually fights Wolverine at one point.
In Deadpool.
No. In the comic books.
Oh, in the comic books.
And he beats him. If you were Thanos, how would you beat Wolverine?
I think I'd probably make him an American citizen, and then force him into to do taxes and have to deal with a difficult
crush his soul from within.
Well, he gets stuck in a line outside H&R Block on April 14th, and realizes that he doesn't have to do it that way because the government already has all that information, and they could easily send you a pre-filled out tax form that you can verify or dispute, like they do in other countries. But because the H&R Block and other tax prep places lobby the government to keep it complicated, so it's specifically intended to be difficult, and that's how I would destroy Wolverine.
Being boring is my stick.
You just called me boring.
How dare you?
I deserve it.
You were on my land in my tree.
Well, honestly, I regretted that path that I chose on that little riff there because I regretted it immediately. But I stuck through it because confidence is sexy.
Yes.
Or sorry, sensual. Sensual.
Yes.
I'm not sexy. I'm sensual.
But Thanos basically has the Infinity Gauntlet at the time. He uses the Reality Stone to change Wolverine's adamantium skeleton into rubber, and he just collapses.
Oh, the skeleton becomes rubber.
Yes.
Oh, see, I would have done the spikes, turn those into rubber. That way, when he comes out to fight, he's just like these weak ass little spaghetti noodles.
That would just be cruel.
It'd be funny. So, all right, but yes, you like Deadpool too.
I loved it. It's one of the few movies where after the credits started rolling, I looked over and talked to the person I was watching. Where I was like, yeah, if they started the movie again, I'd watch it again.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to get up. I want to see it again.
That quick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, if you're disappointed when a movie is done, like you want more, that's always a great sign of a film.
Yeah. The best thing I can say to anyone who's on the fence about seeing it is, if you've seen Deadpool 1 and you hated it, stay away. You're not going to like it.
Fair point.
If you saw Deadpool 1 and you liked it, you're going to love this.
Is there going to be a Wall-E sequel? I love that movie.
I love that one too.
I have such a fondness for that movie.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. So thank you. So finally, I've been watching on Netflix Evil Genius.
What is that?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It's a documentary.
I was thinking when you first said that earlier, I thought it was like that Baby Genius animated CGI thing.
Could be,
but no.
I might even be wrong if that's what it's called. But it's. I gotta confirm this. Hold on. What are you laughing about?
You're always watching Star Trek.
Well, I use it as a sleep aid. Yeah, Evil Genius. I had Star Trek on my Netflix there, so James was laughing at it.
You always.
Yeah, because it puts me to sleep because it's relaxing.
Yep.
I like it. I want to be on that crew. I want to be like helping Data figure out what it's like to be human. You know, I want to talk to.
Do you dream about Star Trek because of it?
No.
You never fallen asleep to something and had it encroach into your dreams?
No. Well, yeah, pornos.
Oh God.
No. I don't. Yeah, not really. I don't remember.
I've had that happen constantly.
I go through phases with whether I remember my dreams or not. I do have insane dreams. I mean, I'm a fucking kook, so yeah, it's a real weird place to be. All right, so Evil Genius is about this crime, and damn it, I don't know the year. I think it might have been the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and maybe it was the 90s. Jesus Christ, you think I would know this? It was weird, but anyway, the story was, you might have heard this on the news. There was a weird thing, and I forgot about this until I saw this on Netflix, where this guy committed a bank robbery wearing a bomb on his chest. He had a thing hooked around his neck, secured with a device, and he wound up sitting on the ground in front of a bunch of cop cars because the police had showed up. It was a really big story at the time because it was so wacky.
He was being forced to do it, right?
He was being forced to do it. But there's a lot more to the story. Yeah, and it eventually the cops weren't going to go close to him because he had a live bomb on him, or they didn't know if it was live.
Is this a documentary?
It's a documentary about that entire story.
I'm in. I want to see this.
It's okay. Well, then we'll talk about it more in another episode. But I'm about there's I think only 4 total episodes. But it's a very. I think the Duplass brothers have something to do with it. They seem to be making all kinds of stuff. Okay. But there's a woman who plays a character in it, and she is it's not spoilers or whatever, but she's extremely intelligent. Like that's like one of the main things they talk about her. She's wildly smart,
which is unlike every other woman. Wow. Kidding. It seems like that's where you were going, though. It's like, she's special because she's actually smart.
No. I was going towards just like extreme intelligence being a downfall for people.
I was like, is it really going there?
You're the one that said that out loud. I didn't say that out loud.
That's not what I mean.
I know.
At all.
I mean, I could make a case that men shouldn't be allowed to touch any fucking thing. Look how horrible the planet is, and men are in charge mostly. So I think we have a strong case that maybe we should turn over the keys for a couple thousand years and see if women can do a better job running things, because this planet's fucking going to hell
Angela
thanks
Merkel's
to men.
cool.
She's better than most of the leaders in the world. All right, so politics aside, this woman, she's brilliant, and she's mentally ill, bipolar and other things, and I have histories with mental illness myself. I have depression. I I know someone with very close to me who's bipolar, and so like it strikes me on those chords a little bit.
And this is a real person.
She's a real lady, but
Okay.
but she's like the mastermind behind this whole scheme, and there's other murders connected to that that event.
So the bomb on this person, she was the mastermind of it?
Well, that's all up in the air. It hasn't been fully revealed to me yet as far as where I'm at.
Because I've heard the story before, but I never heard any sort of resolution to it. Like they caught the person who did it.
Oh, there's a lot more to the story,
Okay.
and it's intense. It's like and it's just so interesting. Some of the maybe we can talk about it in more detail later. But how smart she is, and like you can tell from the moment everything she does just reeks of supervillain intelligence.
But is this someone portraying her, or are we
No,
seeing
it's
actual?
her. It's like courtroom videos
Okay.
or like an interview with a lawyer.
Very cool.
Seeing her in different settings and stuff. Although they don't have a lot of footage of her either. She doesn't do a lot of interviews and stuff. But like the filmmaker communicates with her a lot, so there's a lot talking about that. But it's amazing because there's other murders. There's like other mysterious murders in this little community where these people are operating. This kind of like it's just so amazing that you get these like little clusters of criminals that kind of just like I don't know. It's just it sort of functions on a local scale, and that can also exist on regional and global scales, I guess, as far as criminality goes. But it's just a really interesting documentary, and I would suggest that you check it out.
I will.
What a wild thing for that guy to have that thing around his neck, and it's such an eerie scene where he's sitting on his ground and his hands they handcuffed him before they realized it was a bomb, and he's wearing this awkward device that's like juts out of his chest, is in front of his chin, and it's wrapped around his neck. It's got like he was on like a scavenger hunt. They arranged this whole thing with clues and drive down here and go find this thing.
Black Mirror episode.
And there were 4 keys. Like you had to unlock this. It was like a custom built Leonardo da Vinci
like freaking Saw
finger trap. I don't know if that's even a thing.
So what was the whole plan? That he would do these tasks and he would get clues to where the keys were, or he would gain the knowledge to unlock the device himself?
If he got the money in time or something, then he could get the device off. So it was like a countdown.
So it wasn't that he was going to return to her and she was going to take it off.
The keys would like add an hour to the thing or something
Holy
like that.
crap.
It was really weird. But they get into the whole like that guy might have been involved in it too. Like they knew him. Like I don't know. It's wacky. It's a really intense show. I would suggest watching it. It's a great date thing. I'd say everybody out there bring a sweetie over and cuddle up and watch a supervillain manipulate a bunch of dudes into blowing fucking. It's so wild. It's so crazy. I would say see it.
Yeah.
So you're more interested in that than Wild Wild Country, huh?
Yes.
Why does the Wild Wild Country pull you? You're not required to watch it.
I like crime, mysteries, dramas, things like that. I like things that are based on real events. Not to say that Wild Wild Country isn't.
Yeah.
But
you're not a cult. Cult. You like I love Scientology. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I do have an interest in like understanding the whole cult thing, but I love something about it. The whole reason I love The Curse of Civil War Gold, The Curse of Oak Island, even though I know it's garbage, is that it has that little hint of what if mystery to it. I love things that are unsolved. I love things that we're still trying to figure out, that where the answer is not known. Which is why I love science. Is why I love things like I gravitate towards that crap.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that in Wild Wild Country, because it's just a dramatic story overall. You don't really know what's going to happen. And the other thing that people repeat, or a common experience people feel watching Wild Wild Country, is they don't know which side to root for, because they very clearly and do a good job of showing the cult story and from their POV, and then they show the townspeople and from their POV, and everybody, you kind of understand everybody's angle a little, but also you get why either side would react the way they're reacting. It's unless you want certainty in your viewing, it's maybe not great for you, but it's fascinating. I can't get enough of cults and stuff. I think it's so interesting. Group dynamics and why human beings are so wacky about our tribalism and stuff. So all right, well, there you go, everybody. Thanks for listening. I think I'm going to put the entire thing up on our channel here, just as a freebie for people to see what a Patreon show is like. And this is it, guys. We sit around and we chat, kind of like we do on the channel a little more.
Find out how many people. completely disagree with my hunting stake.
Oh, does that worry
No,
you?
no,
Oh, okay.
I'm fully happy to put it out there because
the background, your childhood.
Yeah.
You just were.
And when
it's like you guys had Arkham Asylum of hunters just like running rampant through your property.
Well,
I can't blame you for having a negative.
It was a hunting lodge that's land was connected to my family's land. We had a lot of very, very young kids who I still believe if you are under the age of 18, you shouldn't be out unsupervised by yourself with a gun.
Right.
And yet we would run into these kids all the time, my sister and I, and they'd just be like walking through our land with a gun.
Yeah.
And they would. I remember one time this kid actually threatened us. He said, "Get out of here! You're scaring stuff away." And my sister yelled, "Well, get off our land, you bleep 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 bleep!"
Yeah.
And I could remember. Maybe this is one of my Bernard memories that's just like became more interesting over time, and I'm inventing this. But I have this recollection that he may have raised his gun at us.
It's plausible. That's
Because
guns give you power over
right,
other
because
human
he
beings.
was one of these kids that was apparently, I believe, raised by one of these irresponsible hunters who believes that to be a man, you have to go out and kill.
Yeah.
Not that you're doing it for any other purpose other than your own sport, enjoyment, and to feel powerful.
Right.
And that's what he was trying to do to us. Even though he was in the wrong, he had the gun.
Yeah, pointing a gun at someone's a crime, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's actually a big problem. You shouldn't. You're not supposed to. But it's very powerful. I mean, my dad gave me a gun for Christmas when I was 13 years old, so I know guns very well. It's the reason I'm against them.
Yeah, I think
it's too much power to be trusted in people's hands.
You need to make sure that you learn respect before you earn the power to take away life.
Or we just don't allow people to have that power, which is what I think should be.
Well, I mean, I'm not. Hunting is a part of life. It's
yeah.
I'm not in any part of. I'd be insane to say that people who hunt are bad people.
Right.
As a global blanket statement, I would never say that.
Of course not. Yeah, but. I know. Yeah, no, I get it. We don't have to go over it all again. Okay, so we can get into it more later on, guys. But thanks, James. Thank you very much. This is our page. If you guys want to support us on Patreon, there's a link in the description. Also, fine if you don't. That's totally cool. We're just grateful for anybody who is giving us their time and their attention. We hope that our hard work and our that we're I don't know, James. I'm trying to connect.
Yeah.
It's awkward now. It's gotten bad. It's
Yeah.
getting awkward. So, good night. Go ahead.
So if this is going to go up on YouTube, I will try and respond to stuff.
Oh,
So
James.
I will try to be better about it this time because I know there's going to be people who will vehemently disagree with me, and that's cool.
Hey,
that's cool.
I don't know. I mean, how much of the hunting community is looking for going to watch a sample podcast?
No,
on
I
YouTube?
just feel bad because I often say something from the context of my own mind that has context that makes sense, that isn't confrontational, isn't offensive. But then I realize not everyone can see it from my perspective because I didn't mention any of that.
Let's end on this. I have an inspirational advice here. It's not even inspirational, but just some advice. Stop respecting people's opinions so much. Everybody deserves basic dignity, basic respect, basic safety. Those are that's the floor. Should never go below that. But you don't have to care what people think. I'm not saying that you do. Hold on. I'm just saying people have some confidence in your own identity, have some confidence in your own opinions and in your own feelings, but also allow some room for other people to have different viewpoints than you. And you don't have to. It's very easy to dismiss a person's opinions. It's as easy as dismissing a barking dog.
Right.
It's not difficult.
What I'm saying is that without the context that I should have given, what I said about hunting originally would have come off as arrogant and misinformed.
Sure.
And I get that.
Arrogant,
and I feel
arrogant and misinformed. That sounds like me.
And I feel bad that I allowed myself to do that.
Yeah.
Without giving context on why I feel that way.
All right. Good enough.
So that's why I'm happy that this will go out. And hopefully, if someone doesn't hate me so much that they will never come back and watch something because of that, hopefully they hear it and at least understand a little bit or can educate me more so I understand their point of view more.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. And we actually lost a Patreon person. Someone is no longer. And it might be the shit I said about Trump on that one. That's my worry. Could also be for lots of other reasons. Who knows? But so I'm saying, like, my stupidity is costing us real money. You're just angering people with guns.
Which is so much smarter.
So we're doing great.
Yeah.
But all right, that's it. And by the way, if we get to larger levels of Patreon, we'll be able to produce more stuff and do more stuff. I mean, time is the limited resource for me. But if we reach certain points, I mean, that's kind of the overall goal eventually. So I don't know. That's longer term. But thank you, James. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We love you. James, see you probably in a couple minutes.
I'm going to go hunt some stuff.
James going to hunt a burrito.
Yep.
Bye.